Rookie wide receivers have been a source of fantasy goodness in recent seasons. Heck, Jalen Waddle finished as the wide receiver 12 while going in round 9 of fantasy drafts. Justin Jefferson was the wide receiver 51 off the board, finished as wide receiver 7. Those are league winners, folks, especially if you are in a keeper league. Look, this is too big of an edge to ignore, and by the end of this video, you will know 3 rookie names you should be ready to click on in your 2023 drafts. So the first element we've got to look at is draft capital, because it is king. From 2011 to 2020, wide receivers that have gone in the first round of the NFL draft, 47% of them have gone on to have a top 24 finish in their first 3 seasons. And this season, we have 3 wide receivers that are consistently going in the first round of NFL mock drafts. That is Jaxon Smith-Njigba of Ohio State, Quentin Johnston of TCU, and Jordan Addison of USC. So the second thing that we want to look at is age-adjusted production. Now, it may sound a little bit technical up front, but we're going to simplify it for you. In a nutshell, players that declare early for the NFL draft usually do so because they achieved high-end success early on in their college careers. So one way that we can get a feel for how early a player was able to be successful is by looking at a stat known as Dominator. And Dominator really is simple. It's just taking the percentage of a team's yards and the percentage of a team's touchdowns that the player had and averaging those 2 numbers together. And from a historical standpoint, players that have gotten to a 30% Dominator by their age 20 season or less have had more success in the NFL. So while we know draft capital is king and it can really provide us with some actionable data, once we stack Dominator on top of that, we get even better results. So if you remember, first rounders, 47% of those go on to have a top 24 season in their first 3 years. But once you add Dominator to that, the number jumps to 57%. So first we have Jaxon Smith-Njigba. Now folks, he barely missed the 30% Dominator. He got to a 29%, but we're definitely giving him a pass. He played with Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, 2 first rounders that we're all excited about drafting this year in fantasy. He got to that 29% at the age of 19 years old. Next, we have Jordan Addison, who will only be 21.6 years old when the NFL season starts this year, and he hit a 36% Dominator at the age of 18 and a half years old. And lastly, we have Quentin Johnston, who will be 22 when the season starts. He hit a 32% Dominator at the age of 20. And a stat that can be really helpful for that is receiving yards per team passing attempt, which helps us adjust for the fact that not all college offenses are created equally. So the third and final factor we want to look at is team adjusted production. By dividing a wide receiver's yards by team passing attempts, we can normalize for the fact that some teams pass more than others, thereby helping us better compare wide receivers from different environments. So first round selections that have averaged 2 yards or more per team passing attempt have finished inside the top 24 in their first 3 seasons 60% of the time. That's a 13 percentage point improvement over a typical first rounder. So drum roll please, Jaxon Smith-Njigba, 2.12 career yards per team passing attempt, Quentin Johnston, 2.42, and then Jordan Addison at 2.29. So all 3 of our prospects eclipse the threshold we love to see. So in summary, when we layer in adjusted metrics along with draft capital, we actually see enhanced hit rates for top 24 performances, and we have 3 wide receivers that check all of the boxes this season. And while no combination of data points is foolproof, what if I told you this would have also helped you avoid first-round busts like Jalen Reagor and John Ross? So back to our 2023 class, you can draft all 3 of the names we've talked about today as a wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4 right now on Underdog. Jaxon Smith-Njigba is going off the board as the wide receiver 29. That's a round 5 pick. Quentin Johnston is going in round 7 as the wide receiver 42. Finally, Jordan Addison is coming off the board as the wide receiver 44, also in round 7 along with Quentin Johnston. All of these options should be drafted often in this range, and you should be prioritizing them over names like Gabe Davis, Jakobi Meyers, and Courtland Sutton in your drafts.